It's time for the Court Report, our bi-weekly segment with the Upper Midwest Law Center. They are a nonprofit public interest law firm on the front lines, dedicated to defending constitutional freedoms and the rule of law.
It can't be overstated, because it's how I got with him to begin with, is you start reading all these stories going up to the Supreme Court, and every time you get to the bottom of the story, and it's like, oh yeah, Upper Midwest Law Center did it again. And I'm like, I got to talk to these guys. And I get a hold of Doug, Mr. Seaton. You guys are absolutely on it all the time. I don't know the last 2-week time period that went by that you didn't have some other case come bubble up and you're kicking butt. Has this been the way it's been since you started?
Pretty much. It's now
Wow.
7 years, Al, as you know, and we're doing the best we can. And yeah, some days, as my old partner used to say, we're catching them faster than we can string them.
That's fantastic. I'll get to the story today, but I got to ask you a little side question, and I don't know if it's ethics or how this works. So the Attorney General, today's story is all about this hemp thing. Federal government, when they kickstart now, will have some bill in it, what do you call it, continuing resolution, will have this thing in it that basically says hemp THC can only be at like 0.4. Well, in Minnesota, we got all this gummy bear and drink stuff that's happening in the state from hemp growers at like 0.5. Now, I don't know what a milligram does. I don't even pretend to understand. But our Attorney General sued the federal government to make that happen. They wanted it to happen. I'm like, I know he doesn't work for the hemp industry itself. He works in Minnesota. But how do you sue the federal government to stop something that's working in your state? And this is the same state that literally has marijuana laws that are against the federal government's marijuana laws. I mean, can you ask for both directions? At some point, do you have to pick a lane?
You know, we would say yes, because we're not involved in that case, of course.
Yeah.
And I don't know the particulars, but I do know that the Attorney General has been suing the federal government. He's suing our only refinery, the Pine Bend Refinery in Minnesota, and their companies. Yeah. He's sued lots of things that you'd wonder, is that really what a Minnesota Attorney General, the chief legal officer of the state, should be doing? While we have a crime epidemic going on, and the AG says boo about that. It's just wrong, I think.
Okay, fair enough. I didn't know. It just seems like we're on every side except the one that makes any sense. The story this week, which again, you are the Babe Ruth of law. Point it over there. I'm going to hit it out of the park, and here it goes. The latest one, because we talked about this is why I kind of kept up on it, that omnibus bill. I said when you came on, when you got, the gun owners caucus.
Gun owners caucus, right, you are, yes.
When you took them on and you went after this 1,400-page omnibus bill, which it's easy to read the Constitution and say you can't have that, but we've been doing it. And you went after and won. And they booted that thing out. They said, you're right, you can't do this. And this court judge said, others should look into this. I said this would change the way we do law in Minnesota at some point. Well, it announced me what happened to the Ramsey District County Court. The Supreme Court kicked it out, right? Or kicked it back to him to say, figure this out?
Well, it is a little complicated,
okay.
But it is, the district court ruled in our favor, as you know. Judge Castro, he did the strong right thing, bravely said this whole thing is unconstitutional. But I've only got one client in front of me, one plaintiff, the gun owners caucus. So I'm only going to excise that one piece. But he couldn't have invited them more strongly. Everybody else should come in and sue if they're affected by this bill, and knock it off piece by piece if that's necessary. But he also said the courts above me, because they can do that, they should strike the whole thing, because they warned them before. Yeah. And you know the backstory. I 20 years ago, I
share it again, absolutely, because people need to hear this.
Yes, the ABC case 20 years ago, suing Carlson and Ventura. That's how long ago it was, because you have to sue the governor. It wasn't their fault, but they signed the bill, and that was wrong. 300 pages then. Now we're up to 1,400. And they're still doing it, despite the warning they got then and at several other times. So we're very hopeful. So the posture is this. So the state went to the district court, went back to Judge Castro, said...
Keith Ellison, right? The Attorney General would do this for the state. I just want to get so he went back, and now go ahead. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure everybody knows who were the players.
exactly right, or on the money. He went back and said, would you hold off on your order until we get this appeal settled? And the judge said, no, I won't. This is unconstitutional. You get no stay. You cannot enforce this statute while your appeal's going on. So that's one down for the state. And then the Supreme Court said, and we're not going to allow you to go straight to the Supreme Court either. You got to go to the appellate court. So we've won two here, even since the original victory with Judge Castro. We're on the way up on appeal. The state appealed, and that allows us to say, we want the whole thing down. Please, courts, knock the whole thing down. They're not going to listen to you otherwise. You've warned them before. How many warnings do they get? And we think it will change the way we do business, and it's important.
Well, it absolutely is. And again, back to a single bills, right? You have bills about whatever it is, and you can look and discuss, and there's no hiding. I hate the hiding in 1400. Oh, I had to vote for that because it had three things I really like. That goes away. Does the idea that it comes back to this guy and says, no, I won't take it out. It goes to the next higher court. You've won two more on that. Does that have sway with the Supreme Court in that they're seeing others and it just you must be gaining some confidence, or is this it is a very left-leaning Supreme Court? I mean, it just is. Could there still be this problem? They're like, we just don't want to call these guys out on it.
Well, we've been very impressed. You're right. This is now an all Democratic court, of course, at the Supreme Court level. But we've been very impressed that our justices are really looking hard at these cases, and they've complimented us on our arguments in the past. We think they will actually give a strong look to this. We're very hopeful that they will say this is just not right, and the courts have a role here, and their role is to tell you when you're off the guardrails of the Constitution. They've told you before, and now we're going to have to strike this bill down, and I'll have to go back and start over and actually see if there's a majority for every one of the pieces of this bill. That's the way it's supposed to work.
Can you summarize Attorney General Ellison's side of it? Is like, I know you struck it down, Judge, yes, but we really can't go with that because it would be a lot of work to fix up the mess if that's the case. It's too messy?
That's pretty much the argument.
Really?
It's a political question, Your Honor.
Yeah.
You shouldn't really be involved in this. It's just the way it works, the way sausage is made at the legislature. Look away is basically the argument they're making. They have a more technical argument that's even sillier, in my estimation, that, because the reviser put it on the book, somehow it's too late to actually roll it back. So we don't think any of those arguments are good or right. Okay. And we do think that the court will, and we hope it should, we hope it will, strike down the entire statute and make them do it right. Because the real problem here is that, as you said, it's a fraud on people when they don't know what's getting passed. They can't hold representatives accountable if there's no way to say, well, he voted for this. Well, no, he voted for 1,300 other things, not just that.
I presume everybody asked the Supreme Court to please get on it quick because we'd like to know. This is a sort of thing, though, with a 1,400-page bill and tons of things in it. If this looks like this could go down, you really can't wait 2 years for the Supreme Court to take it up. Is there a way of pacing this to say, Supremes, if you don't do this by February 15th or whenever they go back in session, they won't fix it. It can't be fixed. You're 2 years down the road. Can they be rushed?
Well, they can't. Now, the state did ask them to take it directly to the Supreme Court. They said no, because we have a legal process for that. We brought it as soon as the statute was about to be effective. So we don't think we're the problem. But yes, there are these issues of when is it too late? And the state will start arguing that as well now that they've delayed things a bit with these additional motions and stay applications. But we think it has to be done right, even if it's a mess, because they're the ones who made the mess. Fair
enough. Before I go to break, a little kissing up, and in case and I'm pretty sure the Supreme Court listens to this program on a regular. They're fun people. I'd just like to kiss up a little bit, if I could, using your time. So my son, my middle son, Tate, got his law degree at St. Thomas, and I had no idea about that. We had lunch and congratulated him, But they were all called to the Capitol a couple Saturdays back, and the Supremes lined up front, and we all got to see them get sworn in. They did some, rah-rah speeches and stuff. Really cool. I did, first off, in the the house was really cool to sit in and be in. But the fact that they all came in and did this massive, raise your right hand thing, I give them credit. That's got to be like the boringest day for them of all time. So I just want to say thanks to them. That was really quite cool.
It's very cool when they do it. It's a long time ago for me, but they did that, and the federal judges do something similar with one of the senior judges. It is very moving, I think. And you get to move your person.
Yeah, that was really cool. So I just want to thanks to the Supremes.
Sure.
And if any of them want to comment on anything we talked about, call me at al@altravisshow. They're not going to. It's illegal for them to. Back after this. More.
Are you tired of government overreach and the constant threat to your constitutional rights? The Upper Midwest Law Center is your legal sword and shield. We're a nonprofit law firm fighting every day to defend free speech, religious liberty, and the rule of law. We secure landmark victories that restore school neutrality, protect property rights, and hold government accountable. Our mission is to ensure liberty endures for all Minnesotans. So if you or your business is facing a constitutional violation, we want to hear from you. Learn more and support our work at umlc.org.
Chanhassen Dinner Theater's gift cards make perfect holiday gifts because everyone loves the gift of live entertainment used for any current or upcoming show, incredible concerts, Stevie Ray's Comedy Cabaret, or main stage musicals like White Christmas or the upcoming high-rolling Broadway hit Guys and Dolls. Chanhassen Dinner Theater's gift cards are available in any amount, never expire, and are always the right size and color. Easy too. Order by phone or online at chanhassendt.com. Chanhassen Dinner Theaters, always entertaining you.
The Al Travis Show, the last place you can go and hear all sides. Respectful, thoughtful, and grateful.
We've got him, Doug Seaton with the Upper Midwest Law Center. This next one, I don't know if it's legal action yet, but I know you guys support this big time. There's a coalition calling for legislative action to address unlawful DEI mandates. Can you explain all this for us?
Yes. It's a great group of people. It's a long list, but defending education, school boards for academic excellence, protecting parents, Protective Parents Coalition, and we certainly at Upper Midwest Law Center support them. And they've said the legislature should take action to essentially bar DEI as an enforceable legal construct because it's simply wrong. It's basically against equal justice under law. That's what it is. It's reinventing segregation, race-based decision-making. It's absolutely wrong, and it shouldn't be allowed anymore. And I think they're right about that.
And I think that's easy for folks on the right to say, but the left has somehow gotten to the point that they're okay with that.
Yes.
Because now, I guess, please don't take a strongly worded letter to Senator, the President, Bobby Joe Champion. He's going to read this and say, goodness gracious, I never thought of that before. And we should, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a starting point. It makes a discussion point. But if you're okay with DEI, you've somehow already got that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be mean or discredit, but if you got a strongly worded letter that works, you got to send that around, my friend, to every state.
It usually takes more than a strongly worded letter, as you well know. It takes a fight. Unfortunately, the Constitution's not self-enforcing. People have to go to court, like Judge Castro invited people to do, as we said a minute ago. You have to fight to make these things real. Otherwise, they fall by the wayside. And that's critical. And I speak, Al, as somebody who's actually been out there fighting segregation. I got clubbed opposing real segregation once upon a time. That's why they got these gray hairs. So I'm not going to have them go back. No, and
I love that, but I guess maybe then the call would be, if you believe somehow DEI in your school or your place of business negatively affected you, then give a call to the Upper Midwest Law Center. You guys will find out if, you know what I'm saying? We need a lawsuit. A letter's not going to do it. We need the lawsuit.
That is correct. And we see it all the time. It doesn't always lend itself to a lawsuit, but we see parents getting on the wrong side of this because their kid is the wrong race and they're not getting disciplined, or they are getting disciplined while somebody isn't of a different race or is. These are wrong. And so we're looking for that case. So if any of the listeners have kids in schools and they're getting disciplined while other racial group kids are not, that's the kind of case we want to bring, because we get equal justice under law. That's what it says on the Supreme Court building. That's what it says in the Constitution. And we're determined to fight to be sure we keep it, because people have been misled. As you said, there are people who honestly think that somehow, because once upon a time there was segregation, this is now 3 generations ago, of course. We have to keep this in mind, that somehow we have to keep putting our thumb on the scale every time there's a contest of some kind between, or they make it one, between blacks and whites or Asians and whites or whatever it is. That can't be the case. We get equal justice under law. That's all we are guaranteed. You get to tell your story to the judge. That's what the song says. That's what we believe is the case.
Fair enough. A little quick history with the Upper Midwest Law Center. So you started it. Did you start this alone? How many lawyers did you start when you first got started? Because I know you're growing like nobody's business.
We are growing, and it was just me to begin with, and then we had we hired help through a law firm part-time. Had a lawyer assigned to work with us and work with him, and then finally that lawyer was hired as our first real employee, apart from myself and our very, very trusted administrative assistant. Now we are up to 6 lawyers.
Wow.
We have a paralegal as well as an administrative assistant, and we have a dual role for an operations manager as well. So we've got real good support, and we're very blessed with that. And that's because of our donors. And we're one of the few in the country that actually does this based on individual donations.
Wow.
So if some of your listeners out there want to fight back, but they don't know they can't put their head above whatever trench line they're in, send us some money, because we can fight for you. We guarantee you will be confidential, tax deductible, and we're not going to give your name or anything away to anybody, and we'll fight for you.
I love that. UMLC.org, Upper Midwest Law Center, UMLC.org. The donate button's there. It's easy enough. Big black button on the right-hand side. Hit it. Give until it hurts just a little bit, but know that you're helping out to keep the Constitution going. And if you think you have a case, this is what I like about that. You guys are willing to, a lawyer's willing to take a look at it and see if you really have a case that could make a difference. And you guys will go through that and let somebody know. And there's a spot there as well, the connect button.
Yes, exactly. We're willing to do that. We are one of the few maybe It was always a surprise when I was in private practice. I actually picked up the phone. People were shocked. Well, we do the same thing at the Upper Midwest Law Center. We don't do it by phone. It's just too hard. But if people will send us an email with the information, we'll always get them a response as to whether we can help or try to give them some guidance if we can't, or it's not really a legal matter that we can handle or anybody can handle. We'll give them some guidance so they know what they can do.
I love that. I appreciate that about the Upper Midwest Law Center and the fact you're here every other week. UpperMidwestLawCenter.org, UMLC.org. Visit them today. I appreciate you, Doug. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much, Al. Always glad to be with you.
Are you tired of government overreach and the constant threat to your constitutional rights? The Upper Midwest Law Center is your legal sword and shield. We're a nonprofit law firm fighting every day to defend free speech, religious liberty, and the rule of law. We secure landmark victories that restore school neutrality, protect property rights, and hold government accountable. Our mission is to ensure liberty endures for all Minnesotans. So if you or your business is facing a constitutional violation, we want to hear from you. Learn more and support our work at umlc.org.